Guys, can you see my screen, guys?
Yes.
Okay. So session is getting recorded. Okay, right. So in previous session, we have discussed SCD type 1 implementation. Okay, so here SCD type 1 will maintain only current data. So always it will override the previous information. Okay, so we have worked on change data capture stage and change application stage for implementing SCD type 1. Okay, so now in this session, we will cover SCD type 2. So SCD type 2, this is the presentation. Already the study material already shared with you guys. So the question is like how you are going to manage, how you are going to organize your current data as well as historical data. So as I said earlier, SCD type 2 is maintained. SCD type 2 is maintained both current and historical data. Both current and historical data. Okay. So both current and as well as the historical data. Okay. So here, if you see sample address, sample details. Okay. So here we are adding this particular start date and end date column and followed by the record indicator. Okay. So here we'll be creating a table. Okay, and we'll be designing a job. Okay, so what is the mechanism that we're going to follow for SCD type 2? Okay, so now let's create a table. Okay, so this is our yes. So the table details, those structures and all, I will share it in the chart. SCD type 2. Okay, what you can do, you can copy it somewhere and keep it as a self notes. Okay. Now let's go to the data stage. Okay. So now execute this table. I mean, create a detail statement. So here the attributes are customer ID, customer name, location, and start date, end date, and record indicator. Now click on this DDL script. And the next step is here. So here you have to be provide the grants to the table. Okay. Update, insert, delete. Okay. So as we have updated the details. Okay. So now let's see, select star from SCD. Okay. So here you have to reconnect. Okay. So if you reconnect only, then it will display customer dimension. Order by one. Order by one. Okay. So run this query. So here table has been created. Okay. Now how you are going to design the job. Okay. So first, what we will do, we will compare the data between before, so I mean source data versus dimension table. Okay, so now what you can do, okay, so let's export the job design here, okay. so that we'll have a very large discussion. So download this TXS file. Okay, so copy this, Control X, and you can place it over here. Okay, now go to data stage, go to import. Now go to the respective, this one, click on OK, click on OK. So now jobs will be imported. Okay, so I will explain each step. Okay, so that will be easy for your reference and the practice. Okay, so now here you can see, so these are 92 exercises. Okay, so now let's see the main job. Okay, so here, what's your focus? Our focus is to compare the data between dimension table, okay, and the data which is coming from source table. Okay, so here we have in source, we have this before data and after data, right? Okay, so before data. So let's imagine this is the before data. Now what we will do, we will point this before data. Okay, so point this before data. So we will load this before data in the dimension. For first time, what it will consider the data. So there will be zero records. There is no records in the table. Okay. So if you execute this query, okay, so here this is a standard format generally we will follow. So what is that? Select a distinct customer ID, customer name, and location. Okay. So click on OK. Click on run. So here, why I taken one means one is always active records. Okay. So how we will assign one and zero to the record indicator column, and there is additional columns, start date and end date. So how you are going to map the data? Okay. So that we will see in this exercise, in this exercises. Okay. So here columns I have taken three columns: customer ID, customer name, and the location. Click on OK. So this is the before data, which is the dimension table data, and this is the data that is coming from source. Okay. So yesterday we have discussed, right? Yesterday or day before yesterday. So here customer ID, customer name, and the location. Okay. So location is the changing value, and customer ID and customer name are the key columns. Okay. So here I'm dropping the copy records since there is no change in the data. So let it be as it is. So my focus is to identify the records which are of delete, edit, and insert. Okay. And you need to check the linking order, which is the before is the dimension table data, and after is the source data. After is the source data. Now go to output. Okay, so it will give the default change code. Now click on OK. I have used filter here. Okay, so now we need to separate modified records, all update records in one file, and update records and other records in another file. Okay, so now let's double click here. So what's happening here? So change code is 3 that will go to update. Okay. And records with change code 3 or change code 1. 1 means insert records, correct? So 3 means update records. All the update records should go to one file. And this in this update records, there are records that has been changed. That has to be inserted as a fresh record. Okay, so if you see this example here in the PPT in our study material, so customer number 11, John. Earlier he was in New York. Now he moved to Dallas. Okay. So the latest location has to be updated. Latest location has been updated and the previous location here record indicator we need to set it to 0. Okay. So there will be start date and end date column that we will see in the next job. Okay. So now what you can do, you can compile and run this. Okay. So here you can use transformer also. Since only we are doing filters, then we can consider, I mean, since we are doing filters, if you use filter, then what happens? Performance of the job will improve. Okay. Now click on run. Okay. So press controller. You can see here job started running. Okay. So you can see the blue colors. So first run always there is no records to compare with the dimension table. All the records went as insert records. Okay. So here you can see the files I have defined target SCD type 2 insert and SCD type 1 update. Okay. So now go to the target. Okay. So these are our previous exercise files. Let me delete those. Okay. So here you can see update, no data, right? And insert. All are fresh records. Okay. So the next step is we have to update the flow. Okay. So we have to update the records. So how we need to update the records? End date we need to close as previous date. Previous day. End date as closed as previous date. And start date it will be as it is. And record indicator is 0. Okay. So here I will explain you the insert first. This is the insert job. Okay. So now let's see here. Customer ID, customer name, location. Okay. So start date, I'm entering the data scraping. Okay. Okay. So these are the derived columns. Okay. Start date. So here, how we can enter the start date? I mean, how we can enter the columns? Just I will show you. So for insert STRT, STRT start DATE date column. So date, no need to define the data type and end date, DATE, is a record indicator. Okay. Okay. So start date. So start date always be a current date. How we can apply the current date? Go to functions. Okay. So here start date, date and time. Click on current date. Okay. So end date will be the future date. So that is 9999. Okay. December 31st. Okay. And for insert records, record indicator, it will be, these are active records, right? So that will be record indicator will be one. Whenever end date is feature records, then record indicator will be one. Okay. So now what you can do? You can click on. Okay. So and here we need to use the insert statement. Okay. So click on OK. Just compile this, but we are not running. So we have to run the update before. So if there is any update records, that we have to update. Okay, so that is the mechanism. Old records has to be closed with current records, current updated entries. I mean, the end date has to be closed with previous date. Okay, so compilation is in progress. Okay, so now what you can do, you can go to update job. Just a second. Go to update. So let's define the update here. So here I have taken same the input column. So customer ID, customer name and location. Okay, so click on OK. In double click on transformer. Similarly, here I have entered uh, two columns. Okay, so end date will be already, it has end date, I mean start date will be there. So end date I entered current date. Okay, so we have to give -1. Okay, so how you are going to make these changes? In the update statement in the DB2 connector, record indicator I have set it to 0. Okay, so the next step is double click here. So let's analyze, let's discuss this update statement. Okay. So what does this update statement is doing? So we are updating the records, update table name, set current date -1. Okay. Current date -1 and record indicator orchestrates. Okay, so here we can give orchestrate dot end date, that you can give here also, and -1. Okay, so instead of that I use direct db function. Okay, and here you have to mention the filter condition. Okay, so if you don't mention the filter condition, what will happen? It will create. I mean, all the records will be get updated. Okay. So where clause is compulsory whenever firing any update statement. If you don't use where clause, then what happens? All the records, all the flows will be, all the records in the table will be get updated. Okay. So I don't want that to happen. And here for modified records, end date, we need to be close with previous date. Okay. So today is 17th September. Okay. So that should be 16th. Okay. And where customer ID and customer name should match, and only we need to focus on the active records, not all the records. Okay, already previous records, existing old records already in inactive state, those records also will get updated. If you don't mention this end date as 9999 December 31st. Okay. So by seeing with sample execution, you can understand this statement. Okay. So I'm pinging this statement in the chart so that you can have a notes, reference notes. Okay. So now let's run this and click on OK. Now save, compile and run this job. Click on run. So there won't be any records because there is no updates, right? So first time we are performing this particular action. Okay, so first time load, the update won't be any records. Okay. Okay, so here you can see zero records. Okay, the next step is up. Okay, let's run the insert job. So here we have five records, right? Five records will be loaded into the table. So before that, I will execute this statement. So update records zero. Okay. Okay, now what you can do? You can use that select star order by one. So order by one means it will consider the first column. Okay. No records are there. Okay. So now run this, run the insert job. Okay. See here, five records got loaded. Okay. Now run this query. So here you can see, so data has been start date as today's date and end date as future date and record indicator is one. Okay. So now the next step is what we will do. We will update these entries starting of January. We'll write an update statement. Okay. So here you can see the nodes. Let's go back here. SCD type 2 nodes. These nodes I will share with you. Okay. So this is the statement end day, I mean start date we are updating starting of January. Okay. January 2nd. Okay. So update, all the records will be updated. Now let's see here. So this is the starting of January. Okay. Month, date, year. Okay. So now what is the next step? Now, so any questions here, guys, before I move to the I mean, actual runs. Okay. So any questions?
Yeah, actually, we ran that job, right? Records
Mm.
got inserted. If we run again, what will happen? It again inserted or it will update?
So yeah, so that's a good question actually. So now we are modifying the another data is coming, new data is coming. Okay. So here after file, after CDC, this I will applied here. Okay. So now let's compare the records. Okay. So this is the before data and this is the after data. So what is there any changes that you need to see? Check now. So our left side is after data, right side is before data. So here we have changes 11, 22, 33. It got changed, right?
Yes.
And 44 is not there. It's not coming from source. It will be as it is. 55 changed.
Uh,
And from 76 to all these records are new records.
yes.
Correct? So
Yeah.
now I'm pointing this file here. Now click on OK. So now it will compare the records here. It will compare the records and it will modified records will go here. New records will come here. New records and update records both will come here. Now let's run this job. Run this. Just a second. And see, out of 4 records got updated and 7 records got inserted. Okay, 7 records again plus 4 records. Total 11 records went to insert and 4 records got updated. So now what is the next step? We have to insert this, we have to run this update job. Run this. Okay. So before that, I want to share this. So these are got changed, right? 11, 22, 50, 33, 55. Correct? So these are update records. And those update records, okay, this changed records. Let me close this. It will be creating confusion. Okay. So left side is update records. Okay. Right side is insert records. Okay, so here location got changed. When you compare with the before table, so here you can see 1122. Earlier location was Singapore. Now, if you see the current location, Australia, right? So when there is a change happens, okay, so Jack, Melbourne, now Japan, okay. So Jesse, Sydney, United Kingdom. So here, when the location changes happen, first we need to update the end date. So here end date is future date. So these records we have to change the end date as yesterday's date. Okay. So that is the reason here I'm running this job. Click on run, update job. Okay. Now let's see here. Four records, right? Okay. Now run this query. I'll share this update statement, the chat. Then, okay. So document this. Anyway, I will share this notes to you guys. Okay. Now run this. Okay. See here what happens. So end date has been changed, right? And record indicator also got changed. So end date changed to previous date, 16th September. And record indicator is 0. Okay. Now, four records got updated. Now, we have to insert the new records with the start date as today's date and the end date as future date. Now, run this job. Now, see guys, 11 records. So here you have to notice one thing. Earlier location for John was Singapore. Now new location is Australia. See? So here start date as starting of this year January and end date as yesterday's date and record indicator is 0. So how we can come to know like what are the current location of the customer? Then we have to write a filter condition where record indicator is 1, where is equal to 1. Okay, and run this query. So that will give the active current location. Okay. So any questions here? So this is the way where we will maintain both current and historical data.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah. So now let's modify another record, another sample record. Okay. And okay. So after data, here what we will change? We'll perform only updates. Okay. Or if you want to insert, we will insert one record. Okay. 77 will modify Pakistan. Okay. And I will add new record. Prakasham. Prakasham, Chennai. Okay. One modified record, one new record. Okay. Click on save and close. Okay. Now which job has to run? The main job, right?
Yes.
Okay. Now run this. Yeah, run the job. Okay. So now let's see, guys. Let's see the target here. Okay. So we have a now update record, right? Okay. Earlier this guy was in Sri Lanka. Now he shifted to Pakistan. Okay. So for this record, no, we need to update the start date as starting of this year. Okay. So that where class, that update statement, because if you get create a confusion, okay. Copy and where class you have to provide where custody is equal to 77. Okay. So before you are firing any update statement in a real time. Okay. So first write the select. So whether you are getting appropriate record or not. Select star from this table name. Undo this start date. I mean update. Now let's see here what happens. So one record we got. Okay. So when you update this particular record, I mean it will update only one record. Okay. So click on run this. Now let's see here. Okay. So yeah, it has been updated. Okay. Now the next step is we need to run this update job. Okay. Now compile and run. Job is running. Yeah. Now let's see here. So here this date will change. Okay. Malik Afzal. Oh, okay. So this one we have to run. Okay. Malik Afzal. See, end date as yesterday's date and record indicator is 0. Okay. So now what is the next step? We have to run the insert. Okay. Save, compile and run this job. Okay. So now run this Malik Afzal one. So here you can see we have both the entries. New location starting from today and future date is end date, that is 9999 December 31st, and record indicator is 1. So record indicator is 1 is the current active location. Okay. Now let's see here. Okay, so here you can see with full historical information. Okay. So this is the way where we can implement SCD type 2 with change data capture stage. Okay. So any other questions? Any other questions? Okay, right. All right. No questions. Okay. So in interviews, one of the standard interview question they will ask how we can implement SCD type 2. Okay. So without CDC stage. Okay. So without CDC stage, how we can implement SCD type 2. So this is the standard interview question. So how we can answer such type of questions? Okay. So there is a job design change. Okay, so what does this design change? So here we have the same after data and this is SCD type 2 dimension table data. custom data. Okay. So here what we are trying to do, we are comparing the records with source and dimension table. Okay. Instead of CDC, what we are using, we can use either lookup or join. Okay. I use lookup here. So what we need to do perform, we need to compare these records with source and dimension table. Okay. So let's see the query here. So here source data that is same. There is no change here. So here this is the query. So in this query what's happening I will explain you. So I have created a column alias. Okay. So customer ID again I have taken the same column name. Lookup customer ID and cust name customer name. Okay. And the location lookup location. Okay. So why I'm considering this lookup location I have not called the actual name. Why? Because so I need to compare the location with the source which is coming. Okay. So since customer ID, customer name are the key columns, I have taken the lookup. And here, this is the previous location. Location is the which is in the dimension table, that will be the previous location. And location column already it is coming from source here. Okay. So this we are getting from source. Okay. So click on OK. So this we are getting from source. And the next step is we need to consider the key columns and we need to use left outer join. Why? Because there are some records, new records coming from source. Okay, left source will be the driving left table, and we have to use the left outer join. Okay, after data, data average data. Okay, now map the columns, all the columns, customer ID, customer name, key columns, default columns will come here. And this lookup columns, customer ID, customer ID, lookup customer name, and a location, and CDC flag. So CDC flag initially I have set it to Y. So that means old record. Okay. So when I set to Y means these are active records only. Here we have to consider. Okay. Now what is the next step here? Next step is in the transformer, we have to do this comparison activity. Okay. So here I created a stage variable. In the stage variable, what happens? So we have to do the compare. We have to compare the logic records. Okay. So let's walk through this logic. Okay. So let's study this logic. Okay. So whenever CDC flag is not equal to Y. Okay. So that means new record and customer ID, customer name is not equal. Okay. That means new record I, insert record. Else if customer CDC flag is Y, that means it's a Y. And whenever customer ID, customer name is matching between lookup versus data is coming from source, and location is not equal. So location changed means then it's a update. Okay. Else it's a copy record. Even location is also same here. One of the condition not satisfied. So then it's a copy record. Okay, so any questions in this logic? So we have to compare the records between a dimension table and the source. Okay, by creating a stage variable. Okay, and you have to map the logic here. Okay, so here you have to write a constant. So all the updates should go to one file, and updates and inserts should go to another file. Okay. Now compile and run this. Okay. So here updates. Okay. So let's change any one record. Okay. Okay. So you can update any record 22. Okay. So let's update 78. 78. Okay. So go to source and change that record from Bangalore. Okay. So no new records. Okay. Now run this. Run this job. So we have only one record. So we have only one record which got updated. So that will go here. So you can take a notes. Okay. So see one record got updated. Okay. So you can take a note. So that will be helpful for you during interviews scenario. I mean, like in interview, if you face this kind of questions, no, you can effectively communicate to them. Okay. Yeah. Right. So one record is there. So now then what we have to write? We have to run the update job. Update. So we have to set this end date as yesterday's date, right? Job started running. Okay. See here. End date has been set indicator to 1. Now I will run the insert job. Okay. The steps are same. Okay. Only the main job design will be changed. Okay. Okay, you can see here one record. Now let's run this query. Okay, so it's starting today. He was in Bangalore. Okay, so this is the way where we will maintain current and historical data. Okay, yeah. So that's it, guys. So this is about SCD type 2. Okay, so you need to practice today and tomorrow. And on Friday's class, we will discuss SCD type 3. Okay, yeah. Any other questions? No questions? Okay. Thank you. I will share these notes. Okay.